Prelude to battle. In the annals of history, few battles have reached the level of notoriety and significance as the Battle of Stalingrad. Occurring between August 23, 1942 and February 2, 1943, this brutal clash between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union marked a turning point in World War II. It is a story of human endurance, courage, and the relentless pursuit of victory. The Eastern Front and Operation Barbarossa. To understand the Battle of Stalingrad, one must first look at the broader context of the Eastern Front during World War II. In June 1941, Nazi Germany, under Adolf Hitler's command, launched Operation Barbarossa, a massive invasion of the Soviet Union. The initial German advances were swift and devastating. Hitler's forces captured vast territories and pushed deep into Soviet territory. The importance of Stalingrad. However, as the Germans continued their advance, they encountered a formidable obstacle: the city of Stalingrad. Located on the western bank of the Volga River, Stalingrad was a major industrial and transportation hub. Its significance was not lost on Hitler, who saw capturing the city as a vital step in his quest for domination. Stalin's Directive. On the other side, Joseph Stalin, the leader of the Soviet Union, recognized the critical importance of Stalingrad. In a directive issued in July 1942, he stated that Stalingrad must be defended at all costs. The city bore his name, and its capture would be a powerful symbol of Nazi triumph. This directive set the stage for one of the most ferocious battles in history. The German Offensive. In August 1942, the German offensive to capture Stalingrad began. The city became a battleground, with intense fighting in the streets and buildings. The Nazis employed their blitzkrieg tactics, characterized by fast-moving armored units and devastating aerial bombardments. The Soviets, initially caught off guard, struggled to mount an effective defense. The siege and brutal conditions. As the Battle of Stalingrad raged on, the city turned into a nightmarish landscape of destruction and suffering. The siege of Stalingrad became a relentless, brutal struggle for control, where both sides were pushed to their limits. Urban warfare. The battle for Stalingrad was unique in its intensity. The city's urban landscape provided countless hiding places and strongholds for both German and Soviet forces. Street-to-street, building-to-building combat became the norm. Snipers played a significant role, lurking in the ruins and taking deadly shots at their enemies. Soviet resilience. Despite being initially caught off guard, the Soviet forces displayed remarkable resilience. Soviet soldiers and civilians alike fought tenaciously, often in desperate conditions. The Soviets turned factories, apartment buildings, and even the city's sewers into defensive positions. The tractor factory. One of the most famous battlegrounds in Stalingrad was the Red October tractor factory. This massive industrial complex became a symbol of Soviet resistance. The factory changed hands several times during the battle, with brutal close-quarter combat taking place within its walls. Suffering and sacrifice. The civilian population of Stalingrad endured unimaginable suffering. As the battle raged on, food and water became scarce. The city's residents faced constant danger from artillery bombardments and the ever-present threat of sniper fire. Many civilians were forced to take refuge in makeshift underground bunkers to survive. German challenges. For the German forces, capturing Stalingrad proved to be a monumental challenge. The city's defenders held their ground with fierce determination, and the Germans found themselves fighting for every inch of territory. Supply lines were stretched to the breaking point, and the harsh Russian winter began to take its toll on the invaders. Soviet counteroffensive. As the winter of 1942-43 set in, the Soviets began planning a massive counteroffensive. They aimed to encircle and trap the German forces in Stalingrad, cutting them off from reinforcements and supplies. The Soviets, led by Marshal Georgy Zhukov, meticulously prepared for the operation. Operation Uranus. On November 19, 1942, the Soviet offensive, codenamed Operation Uranus, began. The Soviet forces struck with overwhelming force, launching a pincer movement that encircled the German Sixth Army in Stalingrad. The Germans, already weakened by months of intense combat and logistical challenges, were now facing disaster, desperation, and surrender. The situation for the trapped German forces in Stalingrad became increasingly dire. With dwindling supplies, freezing temperatures, and no hope of relief, their situation was desperate. Surrender became the only option. On February 2, 1943, Field Marshal Friedrich Paulus, the commander of the German Sixth Army, finally surrendered. The battle was over, but the cost had been staggering. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to sharing more historical insights with you in the future.